Choosing self-worth doesn't mean the fear goes away by all means, but it means you're willing to feel the fear and stand firm anyway. And I know how scary that is, but I also know this: the right opportunities cannot find you if you're busy saying yes to the wrong ones.
Welcome to The Artwork of You, the podcast where your life is the canvas and you are the masterpiece. I'm your host, Lori Gouhin, and together we'll explore creativity, self-awareness, mindset, goal strategy, and the importance of accountability so that you can paint your life's portrait with confidence and ease. Remember, in the gallery of life, you're not just a spectator, you are the art. So let's grab our brushes and start creating the masterpiece that is you.
Hello, my friends. I am so glad that you are here with me today because today I want to talk about knowing your worth and holding on to it when life tempts you to settle. Because it's easy to value yourself when things are going smoothly and the way that you want, but it's a lot harder when you're faced with some difficult decisions and choosing what feels right in your gut. And recently, I found myself in that spot. I was offered what looked like a great opportunity and a lot of money, and I could have easily said yes. But deep down, I knew it was far below the value of the work that I've put in. And even though I knew that, I still struggled with the decision. So, what I want to explore today is what it looks like to stay grounded in your value when it would be easier to compromise. And I also want to talk about something I've noticed again and again in my own life, and that's how the universe, God, life, whatever you prefer, sometimes tests you in those moments, and how magical it can feel when you choose integrity and then something unexpected shows up on the other side of that. And so here's what happened. I was asked to sell 7 of my paintings to one collector, which was incredible. It was amazing. But the price that they wanted to pay was well below what I know the work is worth. Still, what they were offering wasn't what you would call pocket change. It was the kind of number that can make you pause, or at least it made me pause, because I'm human and money is very tempting and important. And so my brain went into overdrive and thoughts like maybe I should just take it. Maybe I'm overvaluing what I do. Maybe it's better to have something than nothing at all. All of those thoughts came rolling in. And I'm not sure if you've ever been there. Maybe you're an artist and you have, maybe it's been from a job offer, maybe a job that maybe seems safe, but it underpays you. Maybe it's a client who wants a big discount. Maybe it's something like staying in a relationship or a partnership or a friendship that doesn't feel right, but it's easier than starting over. It's that moment when the fear of losing outweighs belief in your own worth. I struggled with the decision. It felt very heavy because saying no meant trusting that either something better or at least something aligned would come later, or that even if it didn't, things would still work out as they were meant to be. And of course, there's never a guarantee. But I also knew this: I have worked way too hard to get where I am with my confidence and my pricing, and saying yes would undo that progress and teach me to doubt myself the next time. So I said no. And honestly, I can't tell you that it felt triumphant right away or anything like that. Honestly, it felt like the biggest dose of self-doubt that I have felt in a long, long time. And I questioned whether or not I had made a mistake. But deep down, there was also this sense of relief, like I had passed some invisible test about what I value more, money or self-respect. And I think a lot of people imagine that knowing your worth feels very empowering, almost like standing on a mountain and yelling, I'm worth more than this. But honestly, from my experience, most of the time it feels kind of terrifying. And when you finally start to own your value, whether that's in your career, your prices, your boundaries, your relationships, you're going to hit resistance. Your own brain, as we've talked about many times, is wired to keep you safe. And safe often means staying small and taking what's offered. That's why I think saying no to something misaligned can feel like jumping off a cliff. And again, let's be honest, money talks, opportunities talk, attention talks. So when something tempting comes along but doesn't honor you, it's just not a financial decision, it's emotional. You're looking at security versus self-respect, or short-term relief versus long-term alignment. So of course that feels uncomfortable. But I've learned that this discomfort doesn't mean you're wrong. It usually means you're growing. Anytime you decide to hold your worth, you're stepping into a bigger version of yourself, one that believes you're worthy of what you really want, not just what's being offered right now. And growth almost always feels awkward and scary before it feels powerful. So if you've ever said no to a job or a client or a relationship or an opportunity and then felt like you might throw up afterwards, that's normal. Let me assure you, it's very normal. It's not weakness. It's the cost of self-respect, I guess you could say. And I think that situation I found myself in is a pattern that happens to all of us. That after you decide to value your worth, for example, me initially setting the price on my available paintings, or it could be you deciding to end a relationship, life has a funny way of asking, are you sure? And some people might call it the universe testing you, some call it growth or resistance. Psychologists might say it's simply our brain craving safety or proof. Whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. The pattern is the same. You declare your value and something shows up that tempts you to back down. Again, it could look like a job offer that's close to what you want, but still underpays you, or a client that loves your work, but only if you cut your rates. Maybe a relationship that seems good enough if you're willing to shrink a little bit. It's life asking you, do you actually believe what you just said about yourself? And of course, the hard part is that the test usually comes with a dose of fear. It seems practical to say yes, and maybe your mind will quietly say to you something like, don't be greedy, or something better might not come along. But from what I've seen in my own life and in the lives of the people I've coached, holding your worth is often a precondition for the right opportunities to appear. It's not a punishment, it's more like a filter. The universe, God, again, life, however you like to think of it, isn't trying to hurt you. It's giving you a chance to align with what you truly want and what you say you want, rather than settling for what's easy. And it's crazy how often, once you make that hard decision to stay true to yourself, something unexpected shows up. Sometimes right away, sometimes later, but it shows up and it feels magical. But it's also deeply practical because you stop leaking energy into what was misaligned and you make space for what's meant for you. And so after I finally made the decision to say no, again, I didn't feel instantly powerful. I wish I could say I felt this huge wave of confidence, but the truth is, I still questioned myself. I still wondered if I had made a mistake turning it down, turning the opportunity down, the money down. But then something happened that literally stopped me in my tracks. Basically, about an hour prior, I was talking with my husband about the situation, and I shared with him that I felt like I had passed a test, that my self-worth was more than the money, and I was finally able to let it go. And I finally felt confident in my decision. And so then, about an hour later, I checked my phone, and someone who had seen my work on TikTok purchased a large painting from my website at full value, paid in full, no hesitation. And I just stood there looking at my phone, smiling and nodding my head. And I knew it was the universe saying, see, you were right to trust yourself. And now, again, it was one painting, not 7 paintings, but that doesn't matter. It was the reassurance. It was, again, the way the universe opens up, God, again, whatever, because I stood by myself. In other words, I stood by what was right for me. I held on to my self-worth. I said no. And then, as if by magic, someone buys a painting out of nowhere on TikTok, my first TikTok sale, actually. And so, again, I just stood there looking at my phone and smiling. And I know some people will chalk that up to coincidence, but I don't believe that. But here's the thing, even if it was a coincidence, it still matters because the moment I said no to something that was misaligned, I created space for something aligned to show up. Literally, well, not literally within an hour, because I had made the decision a couple of days before. But again, I kept belaboring it back and forth, back and forth. But as soon as I really was able to let it go and felt confident in my decision and that I made the right choice and that I had passed a test, That's when something an hour later showed up. So, whether you believe in energy, manifestation, or the power of focus, there's something about not settling that changes the opportunities you're available for. And we can't always control how quickly the reward shows up. It might not be an hour, but we can trust that making decisions from self worth creates a different trajectory than making decisions from fear. And believe me, I understand that when you're in the middle of a tough decision, it can feel very murky. So here are some ways that I check with myself when I'm tempted to accept less, whether that's money or something else, than I know that I'm worth. Number one, look at your own history. Have people paid you this rate before? Have you built a track record at your current value? If yes, that's evidence that the price is fair and not inflated. Number two, think about long term positioning. Every yes teaches people how to treat you. That is so important. If you cave on your value, it makes it harder to stand firm the next time. It also signals to future opportunities what your baseline really is. And number three, ask how you'll feel after the dust settles. If you take the deal, will you feel proud? Or will you feel a little resentful and regretful? That gut check matters more than we often admit. Number four, consider the story that you're telling yourself. Are you saying yes because it's truly aligned or because you are afraid nothing will come? Saying yes out of fear keeps you small. Saying yes out of alignment expands you. And number five, remember your bigger vision. Short term cash or the safer option can be very tempting, but if it pulls you away from where you're trying to go, it's expensive in other ways to your self esteem, your brand, to your future earning potential, your goals in life. Now, these questions don't make the decision easy, but they give you something more than solid panic and fear to stand on. And the hardest part of all this isn't actually saying no, it's the discomfort that comes after. As I said no, but then days it was just on my mind. So you've turned down the thing that didn't honor you, and now there's nothing but space. And space can feel very terrifying. Your brain starts screaming, like, what if nothing else comes? What if I just made the biggest mistake of my life? And so here's what helped me deal with that space in those days instead of panicking. Number one, I stayed anchored by my vision. So remind yourself why you set your price, why you set your boundary, why you made the decision in the first place. Pull out your past wins or notes from clients, friends, bosses, or your own journal and prove you're capable and valuable. Number two, reach out to someone who understands. It could be a friend, a mentor, or someone in your field. It doesn't matter. Just saying, I'm doubting myself right now can take the power out of that. And number three, keep showing up. Don't disappear because one opportunity did not work out. Keep marketing your work, keep applying for jobs, keep networking, keep creating, because your activity signals to your brain and to the world that you're still in motion. Number four, reframe the waiting. Instead of nothing is happening, think something like, I'm making room for what's meant for me. It sounds like a small shift, but it really keeps you out of scarcity and panic. And again, these in between moments are uncomfortable, but they're also where you will build the muscle of self trust. You learn that you can survive uncertainty, and that makes you stronger every single time. And so, if you're listening right now and you're facing a decision that's testing you, I want you to hear this. It's okay to say no. It's okay to honor your work, your time, and your growth that got you to where you are right now. Choosing self worth doesn't mean the fear goes away by all means, but it means you're willing to feel the fear and stand firm anyway. And I know how scary that is, but I also know this: the right opportunities cannot find you if you're busy saying yes to the wrong ones. Let me say that again. The right opportunities cannot find you if you're busy saying yes to the wrong ones. And so if you're struggling to navigate this, if you want clarity on your worth, a strategy for holding your boundaries, or someone to help you stay accountable when that fear creeps in, this is exactly the kind of work I do with clients. You can book a strategy session with me at www.theartworkofyou.com, or there's a link in the show notes. What we'll do is we'll help you get clear on your value, map out how to stand behind it, and build a plan that actually feels doable when those tests come up, as they inevitably do. Saying no when something isn't aligned is never easy, but when you do, you create space for what's meant for you. And often, before you know it, the universe shows up with a little wink to remind you that you made the right choice.
That's a wrap for today, my friends. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And remember to show up in your life like the masterpiece you are, because you are the artwork. Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Have a fabulous day.